Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of HI Talks podcast. I'm your host, Sayed. This is a podcast where we chat with business leaders, thought leaders, and industry experts to understand their story to help you craft yours. Today, I'm thrilled to have Kritika Menon with us. Kritika's journey spanned both in India and Canada over 16 years of impressive career in top staffing firms and top corporate roles. You had made a lasting impact in talent acquisition world and also she's well known, well recognized on LinkedIn with winning 4 Top Voice Award on LinkedIn, which is pretty impressive and hard to do. So we'll dive into her story to understand how to navigate career, how to build our personal brand and whatnot. Excited to have her on board. Let's talk to her and she get some insight. Kritika, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Sayed, and thank you so much for inviting me today.
No, you are most welcome. Thank you, for taking time out. I know you're being super busy and it's also the busy season now. So I really appreciate you taking some time out. So, in order to dive in, I just wanted to, break the ice a little bit, go to rapid fire questions first. So tell me, I know you're big on cooking as well, so this will be a fun question. What's your favorite dish to cook?
I love cooking street food. I think I've grown up in Mumbai, and Mumbai is famous for street food. So I don't know if you've heard, there's something called pav bhaji, which is very famous in Mumbai, and I love cooking that, and I love eating. For me, it's like I need to like what I'm making. Like I need to like food for me to cook it. So it's as much as that, and that's like my favorite dish to cook. And I think I would say on the restaurants that I've eaten in Canada, I think I kind of make it much better than all of them.
Yeah, I mean, because I think it's mostly like fried, right? If correctly, like.
No, it's a mixture of all veggies, and you are like we have something called pav bhaji masala, and you that and you there's a particular way to cook things, but yeah, I love doing that. And just probably you are not aware, I my auto personality is also where I'm a food blogger.
I
I,
know.
I did that very actively in 2020 until 2022, I think, if I'm not wrong. So yeah, for me, like food is important.
What about favorite book that you are currently reading or have read?
When I was I think till my 25s, I think, when I was a little younger, I spent a lot of time reading Sidney Sheldon books. I don't know if you've read them. There was one book which is Tell Me Your Dreams, which was around multiple personality. Because Sidney Sheldon has raised the bar so high, I really find it tough to find authors who are at that level. That's one. And there is a recent book that I read by Sheryl Sandberg, which was Lean In Women Work and the Will to Lead. Amazing book. And every single time she's saying something in the book, I'm like, yes, this is so right. This is so perfect. This is like exactly, because you are able to relate to like so many aspects that she's mentioned. So yeah, I would say these Cheryl Sandberg is my recent one, and Sydney Sheldon is always my all time favorite.
What about vacation spots? Any favorites, top picks that you resort to when you go?
I do have plans later this year, but for me, I'm a very city person. So I loved my New York trip. So New York was like, it made me actually quite literally feel like I was in Mumbai without being there. So before I moved to Canada, I was in Mumbai. So it's like I like the fast pace.
Now let's dive into you, Kritika. That's one of the reason I wanted to always chat with you and bring you on the podcast was I was really impressed with your journey and I saw it as a mix of a lot of people are coming to this country and Canada, making the home and trying to achieve levels in the career that you have done and you have gone through similar path like while working in India for half of the time and then coming here almost starting a new career which is really hard to do and now doing really well in top firm. I always wanted to dive into the nitty-gritty part, the part that people will connect to, more relatable things. So in this I have a few questions. As I said, you have 16-year almost career span that is, and more to come, obviously. But it's both in India and Canada. Can you share a little bit of your journey? Start off with, in India, and what prompted you to come to Canada, sort of the early stage, if you can shed some light on that.
Sure. I spent around 7.5 years in India, if I'm not wrong. There as well, I worked within the corporate agency. At one point of time, I thought it was like the agency life is like so busy, and it's like I like the speed. Again, coming from a city life, I think I like speed. And I think one fine day, suddenly my husband pops up and he's like, "Let's move to Canada." And I was like, "Are you sure?" Like, I don't know. I'm like, at that point of time, I was actually leading. I was in a practice lead role at Ostate, which was where we were. My main account was Microsoft, and we had many other accounts. And eventually, I was quite kind of leading the whole team there. And for me, I was like, I am not sure if we want to make this move. And are you sure? I don't want to be like spending time like doing my IELTS and later we don't really do it, right? So me and my husband, we sat down, we discussed, we wanted to do this move, and I was also in favor because for my kid. Just around that time, 2017 was when I moved to Canada, and 2015 was when my son was born. And that was when the whole process started, right? It takes a few years for you to. So we wanted to move for our son, and just so that he starts his schooling in Canada, it's easier, smoother. You don't want to move at times when it's rocking everything. It was tough, I would not lie there, because I was at a good position, and I knew that starting moving to Canada would be like starting quite afresh. I may not really get the same position as I was previously, and an account like that at that point of time. But I think I believed in myself. I think when we decided to move to Canada, I think there was something that shifted within me, which made me very, very strong and bold. Which I think a lot of people would resonate making this move. You can't just move overnight, right? You have to think through. You have to be mentally prepared more than anything. So yeah, that was my journey moving to Canada.
How they say inaction breeds stress. I think Jeff Bezos said that or something, which is so true. Like if you're not, when you take a decision and you work towards it, you're like, okay, we'll find a way, we'll get something. And I mean, last year I think we had almost, I don't know if I'm quoting the right number, but yeah, I have it open. So we almost have 3K newcomers in Canada, which is quite a lot. Those who are listening, they're probably going through really early years as they're, they're listening to this podcast. So when you arrived, I think back in 2017, what was it like? Like what tips and insight you can share with people who are coming today as newcomers, whether it be life, career, anything that you can share with them?
Um, yeah, I know. I did realize, and I saw that there was like, and it's over years that you see so many immigrants coming in, uh, and I that's where I it prompted me to talk about my journey. I think till last year, I never spoke about things so aloud. I mean, if you see, I've always been on LinkedIn, for example, and I've always like been there posting my jobs, etc., all of that. But last year was when one, obviously, there is a lot of people coming in, and then the market was a little strange last year, continuing this year. So that's where I felt like, and I did realize my following as well on LinkedIn increased. And I felt that it is now important that I also be able to share my thoughts aloud. And if it helps one person on the way, like I'll be happy to help that person, right? And and that's where I started sharing my journey. Like I think one of the first few videos is which I made on my YouTube was around how to sell yourself during an interview. And I made that very early on because when I was in India, back in India, I really was so bad at giving interviews. I did not know to sell myself. And that's where, when I was telling you, when I moved to Canada, there was something that shifted in me. I moved more into the survival of the fittest, the Darwin's theory, where I was like, no, I need to like, if I don't find something, I don't. survive, then it is very difficult with your kid and uh, family, right? So, and I have my, at that point of time, I had my mom and dad back home, etc. So I had to support a lot of people. I'm the only child. So there was a lot of things on my shoulder. And that's where when I started giving interviews in Canada, it completely changed. I knew what I had to talk. I don't know how I did, but I just knew what to talk. And it's not like overselling or whatsoever. It's just being able to sell what you do. I think in the positive sense, I think survival of the fittest sort of is something that stays. And I want to be able to like help as many newcomers as possible. So that's where I do what I do on my LinkedIn and my YouTube. So yeah.
Great, and which I wanted listeners to always know. I mean, I'm gonna add the link in description, but Kritika does a lot of videos on YouTube which are really helpful. So I want you guys to check it out, and also, if you like it, subscribe to our channel as well. I'll add the link in the comment, and anywhere you will find it.
And I think the three things that I focus on that channel is primarily job search, networking, and LinkedIn strategies. So yeah.
Which are really really important for anyone who's here or newcomer, any path of life. So definitely I would recommend checking that out. So I wanted to also touch Kritika on, I saw that you did bachelor's in science and microbiology, and then now you're completely in a different field in AR. So can you shed some light onto that for listeners who are looking into career pivots and how you have done it pretty successfully?
I say it very sillily. Like I'm like, I don't think so. I could deal with microorganisms, and I wanted to deal with people as silly as I could sound. But
Zoom out, no pun intended. You want to like talk to, not go microscopic.
yeah, exactly. And that's where I got my. I was fortunate actually, even like during my MBA, a lot of my other friends, they all got their internship into everything else like marketing and sales, etc. I actually got my internship in HR. I started off doing HR in like more HR generalist per se, then moved into talent acquisition, and then I eventually figured that I really love the talent acquisition side of the HR world, with a little sprinkle of other HR aspects as well. So that's where I continue to like push myself more on the recruitment side.
Got it. And which is pretty impressive because it's a completely two different things. It's better to know early than delay the timeline and then you say like you want to switch. And also when we were chatting before, you mentioned your default nature is sort of like introvert, and it was you didn't see yourself in recruitment.
I did.
What happened? How did you end up in recruitment?
I would say I had a very good mentor, and I think I've had really touch with good mentors throughout my career in different aspects where they helped me shape my career and align my thoughts per se. Because I think when I started human resources, I was happy just doing. I started off with documentation, and I was happy doing that, to be very honest. The first time I was introduced to recruitment, I was like, have you seen me? Like, I can't do recruitment. There's no chance I'm going to talk to candidates. I actually started calling candidates from a closed room, to be very honest, because I was too shy. I was very shy. I had the fear of like, somebody judging the way I'm talking to a candidate, and it took me a lot of time to go out and like talk in front of people. So I had a good mentor who pushed me, who made me do different aspects of HR to be able to like and then choose what I like better. So I think having a good boss or a good mentor is like very, very crucial. And early on, I was really fortunate there.
That's crazy because, but it must be really hard, because it's in recruitment. It's like as you're saying, it's mostly driven by people, and for your first call was a little bit tough, and then you got used to it slowly into as you probably first role that you filled, you probably still remember it, and you're like, okay, I can do this, small things.
It is important. So I think what is also very important for like people is like understanding like what you like to do per se. So for me, I really started enjoying that world. And for me also, like while I am good at recruitment, for me, I also realized that I was still that timid person. Sure, when I'm doing my recruitment, I'm a whole different person. When it comes to the other aspects, I'm still very timid. So I started working on that, and that's where again I go back to YouTube, because again I started that so that I can start like going out there, because I wanted to build my public speaking skills and grow within my field. So I started taking smaller steps towards my bigger goals of being able to talk and be part of even a session like this. If you had asked me like a few years back, I would have like, there's no chance I'm coming.
What are the habits and routine that you go through both in personal and professional life that kind of like excel you? You know, you're managing YouTube channel, and then you probably have obviously family, kids, and all that, and then work, which is pretty stressful, and sometimes balancing all these things. So share some tips and tricks on what habits and routine people should build and what have helped you to be successful.
Whether be it in my professional work or otherwise, generally, I'm a very goal oriented person. I like delivering, like if I have something planned, I want to make sure that I'm mindful of the time, etc. So, my personality as a whole always has helped me take up these different challenges and trying to meet them. So, I would say, yeah, and again, like even when I started, like for example, recruitment for the first time, I am very recruitment for the first time. I am very detail oriented. So I try and sure I have my list. I like my schedules. I like my routines, and I try and like plan things. I try to plan as much as possible. I know not everything goes as per plan, but I try to keep it as planned and as structured as possible, which helps me achieve what I want to do. Like even when I'm doing my LinkedIn and my YouTube along with my work, I have a content calendar. I stick to it. I work towards it to make sure that I'm able to meet what I'm talking about meeting, right? So yeah.
It's hard, obviously hard to do, but I guess slowly you can build a routine and get into it. What about like especially this summer and this year has been a little bit different job market. It's we're pretty used to the COVID days when it was more that everyone was throwing in offers and they're getting it, and it was a whole different ball game. And all of a sudden, it's a very competitive market now. What advice you can give to job seekers today who are out there looking for job from your perspective, what they should be doing?
I would say being adaptable is very important. Being consistent is important, which goes back to the schedule and all of that. It is tough. I know people, there have been so many people who come to me and they share that they've applied for jobs, they've tried modifying their resumes, they've tried different aspects. It's just, I think branding has become a very crucial part, because if there are so many people in the market, how are you standing out? How are you standing out in midst of all of them? So it's important that you're able to understand what you as a brand bring in, and being consistent, being authentic, because if you're not authentic, it will come out one or the other day. So being able to like being authentic, being adaptable are like few crucial pointers that I see that help a lot of people.
And you spoke about branding. You're pretty much expert on it with 100K plus followers on LinkedIn, and you have won like top choice award 4 times on LinkedIn. How important, you touched on it, but I want you to elaborate a little bit more on why personal branding helps from the point of view of candidate, and then obviously as a recruiter and senior HR person, how does it help you find the best candidate? Like why they need to put in time on LinkedIn or any other platform?
Right. No, for sure. Like when you're applying for jobs, you're applying for jobs. Like when I started applying for jobs as well, like it's just one track kind of a thing. And when you're reaching out to people, LinkedIn, etc., that's another way. But when you start branding your expertise, your probably your skill set, like for example, my skill set is within recruitment, right? So my thought leadership around what I do, my expertise per se, when I start sharing, it has like a it has a huge impact, like which you don't see it the first day when you like when you start posting out and you start building your brand, but you see that as you move further, and there's a lot of value. People start, like for example, if you are you have you're an expert in one of the bit. For example, let's take recruitment or job search or whatever. You when you're you're sharing this information with candidates, etc. People see you as a leader in those aspects, right? So for example, if you're a Java developer, for example, and you are talking on those technical aspects, people see what you're bringing in. Your knowledge comes out in your LinkedIn, and that's where it's important. I've read it somewhere, and it's true as well. Like you should ideally choose three different things that you like and you think you have fairly good knowledge on, and try and build your brand around it. Like for example, as I said, like within my Cree Talks, I try and build it within job search. I build it within networking. I build it within LinkedIn, and I'm trying to align all my videos and my content around that. So for whatever skill set is yours, like try and have like your top three. There could be like a three and a half something, but like for example, my motivation is like the horizontal of all these three different aspects. But if you're able to like choose the three topics that you think are like where your expertise is in, then you're able to build in and you're able to come across as a leader within or a subject matter expert within that particular skill set, which will show. So you actually, without searching for a job, you would get a job because people will see. LinkedIn is very frequently used nowadays, and when you are putting content there, people see what you bring in, and it adds credibility to you. Like it definitely adds credibility to whatever your skill set is. So that's where it's very important.
Yeah, I know. You're right, because it sometimes when you resume it doesn't do the trick. I mean, it gives you the plain vanilla version of the person. Their strengths and weakness, or more on their background. But once you see if someone is doing branding on LinkedIn, it kind of like helps you understand more for the cultural fit aspect of it. Like it's this person would fit in the company culture with the team XYZ. So, but I just meet a lot of people who just think it's kind of like waste of time, or we don't have time for it. But I think people who are doing it, they're taking the jobs at the end of the day. If you have to conclude.
Hours, like not hours, like I would say if you have a plan, it's very easy to adhere to it. Like I would not say it's just like okay, you spend a minute and you're done with all your content. You have to spend time, but it's learning in progress, because I think what's key when you're trying to adapt is you have to learn all the time, and if you have that growth mindset, that learning mindset, you're able to like sort of succeed. And when you start making, like when you start creating content or start sharing, like building a brand, sure it is helping others, sure it is you're trying to attract clients or employers, etc. But you as an individual, you grow, and it really helps. For me, it's been so much of knowledge that I've gained through what I do. I mean, it's not even fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, me and you are a classic example, right? Both of us, I mean, you're way ahead in the game, but I tried to start building audience on LinkedIn, I think a year or two back when you won the last, I think the fourth award that you won. I messaged you, and that's how we connected, and today we are here today. And you kind of like network also with people, like, you never know what doors it may open.
Exactly. And if we had not done that, we would have not met, right? So it's as simple as that. There are just so many opportunities, so many doors that open, which you may not even think of.
What about other common mistakes you see candidates are doing right now in their job search, and how can they avoid?
I don't want to say mistakes because I know the hardship that's going through. But I think patience is very important, and um, I would say my like I think in my videos I've said job search is like a job in itself, and be ready to dedicate time, proper time, and stick to it. Otherwise, like you can't be like one day you go out and apply for 20
Apply for
jobs,
20
and then
jobs.
next 20 days you do nothing, right? So it's very important that you're consistent. But I totally understand how difficult it is in this current market. So, and I'm hoping that we see more sunshine soon enough. Just try to have consistency and your schedules in place.
And I know you talk a lot about networking. This is one of your forte and the skills, expertise, I would say. So, what tips? Like, I want to make it more relevant. Like, what can they do today if they're doing job hunt? How should they network online, offline? What should they be doing aside from just applying to jobs?
I think COVID helped all of us to do a lot of things virtually. So, virtual events is, I think, a straight thing. Like, if there are virtual events and you are in a proper job search, more like you should ideally attend, start networking, start talking to people. Do not just adhere yourself to virtual ones, go for in-person ones. There are a lot of good events that happen across the throughout the year where you can go in person and build relationships, right? I mean, building relationships are important. And I think again, i'm I'm going to be quoting a lot of my videos because I believe in what I say, right? And a lot of times you do get opportunities even before they're actually open, and LinkedIn again is a great way, like, where you start reaching out to people, like you connect with people. Maybe they may not have an opportunity today, maybe they might have an opportunity tomorrow and they can come back, and it's happened. I've seen them happening. So being patient and being flexible and being agile is very important.
Going with the flow, but putting in work.
Put in work, yes. And if you're a scheduled person, like if you are a structured person, just start scheduling things. That's the way I function because I like structure. I try, I'm like, even my weekends are planned. I sometimes say I'm like, I'm very strict. But I like the structure. And again, it depends from person to person. And if you're able to like figure out and how much time you want to dedicate, for example, for networking, how do you want to work your job search? If you want to build your brand, like how try to time things like how you work. Like you have your to-do list, you have your stuff that you do. It's a similar way, like you have to treat a job search with respect, you have to treat networking with respect to start seeing results. You can't just like, sure, it can be a tick on the box, but it needs to be like done seriously because you're doing it for yourself.
You're right. If you, I was just laughing because it just reminds me of my wife. She's also big on planning. So even if she goes out with her friends, she puts her on the calendar. I'm like, why do you put this on Saturday? I'm gonna see this friend. She just quickly puts on. I'm more of like I'm good on planning, but not to that level. So when you said your weekends are planned, it's crazy. She does the same thing, which is helpful because you're right. Like if all these things are, you said it right, you have to give them respect, and you get your ROI once you're serious about it. If you're just complaining and not doing anything, then it'll be hard. How about, I see that you're hiring for some tech roles, and what tips you can share for candidates to improve their chances to getting these roles?
I would say I think I covered a lot of the points in the conversation as well. So something different that I could share is go to my YouTube and check out my videos because I am doing a lot of work around that. So sometimes even like, and the whole purpose was again people were reaching out to me and asking me these questions, and I was like, okay, I can't answer to every single person, and by now it's like already 1K plus. So I was like, I can't answer every single person. So let me start making things which is like more available to everybody. So yeah, I would say just take things seriously and try to push in what you are trying to work towards and be flexible. I think one of the key things when I moved from when I moved to Canada was I did not have like those multiple resumes and I had like one single resume. But tailoring helps. It's not that you're lying on your resume. It's just probably in your previous job you might have been doing 10 things and a job requires 6 things. So you focus on those 6 things rather than putting things which are not relevant. So tailoring your resume is important. Being ready. I do talk about resumes and interviews and how to sell yourself in your interviews. And I think I recently posted one around in-person interviews because I know we all know it, but sometimes you just need that refresher and you don't know which is the right thing and sort of helps as a reminder, I guess. I guess.
Yeah, no, anyone who's listening, check out the link for the YouTube channel, Cree Talks, and I think that would help because she puts a lot of time and effort into those. And if you really want to get the role and be successful, that's one thing I would recommend again. Let's talk about more on the industry peers, your advice to fellow HR leaders and whatnot. So, two questions here. I saw that you mentioned stepping out of the comfort zone is sort of like very important for top recruiters despite being an introvert. So, can you, I think you shared a little bit, but from the recruiter point of view, can you share insight whoever is going through this type of challenge at this moment? What can they do to achieve a level of top recruiter and all that stuff? How did you overcome that challenge and what they can do in today's world?
Yeah, no, I think talent the last year and this year has been especially tough for the talent acquisition world because I know a lot of recruiter friends who lost jobs, etc. So that's the time when that was one of the reasons also which prompted me, right? Like I want to be helpful for folks, and it's important to be able to like stay agile if there are trainings. Like for example, there is so much work around AI and the fear of AI taking over jobs, etc. It's important to adapt, learn AI, embrace it rather than saying, oh no, it's sort of cost my job, etc. per se. Rather embrace it and try to learn newer skills. Like stepping out of the comfort zone resonates perfectly because sometimes everything that you do may not like be something within what you like doing or you're comfortable doing. For example, as I said, public speaking. If I have to talk to a candidate, I can talk to a candidate at a go. But if I have to go out and present to a group of people, I might be really, really stressed out. So that's where I went out. I stepped out of my comfort zone. I started my YouTube. I started taking smaller sessions where I can go ahead and facilitate, which helped me like to go one stepper. You know what you're good at, you know what you need to build in. It's very important to be self reflecting on your strengths and weakness and not ignore your weakness, but more build on how to overcome my weakness and make that my strength. So that's very, very crucial.
A quick one question on this. Like you mentioned AI, do you think it will replace the jobs in HR, like replace our roles and this and that? Where do you stand on that?
I
Like,
don't think so. I mean, talent acquisition needs a lot of human brain and action. Like, sure, the mundane part of it can always be taken over, but then a lot of I think I saw a joke somewhere. I posted by somebody on LinkedIn, like how is AI going to deal with hiring managers, right? So it's a joke, but it's more around like there are things which need a human brain to work through. So I don't
yeah.
think. Sure, some mundane work, sure, but not right. That's why you need to learn and adapt so that you are equipped and you're equipping yourself to not put yourself in a vulnerable position.
In terms of guiding principle or philosophy, what do you live by and how it has shaped, it has given you the success in both personal and professional life?
I think for me, I go back on my survival of the fittest and uh, stepping out of my comfort zone. These two things have helped me throughout my career, like all throughout my 16 years of career. That has been my base where I've always pushed myself. I've never brushed off things, and whether it be personal or professional, I've always tried something new. I've always pushed myself to do something new. Sure, like for example, I tried karate and it did not work for me, but I do try a lot of new things because I think that's my driving force, and I love like my I love numbers. I love talking to people. It's my drive. So these things help me like keep going on. Get up in the morning and smile.
What about one final piece of advice and wisdom that you like to share? I know you have shared a lot, but anything that missed out, anything else that you want to share with our listeners?
I think just be adaptable. Things will keep changing. I think one of my other friend, colleague, ex-colleague, she had posted out today like how things have changed from Gen X times to millennials, etc. We've seen a lot of things throughout our lives, right? So I
Few years, COVID and this and this
yeah,
stuff.
I went through times when we had no phones, no computer, to computers, to floppies, to CDs, etc.
Floppies, I remember.
So many things that we've seen. I think what is very important, that whole thing, is being adaptable with changing times.
Well, thank you so much, Kritika, for your insights and sharing your insights and experience with us. It's been a pleasure having you on the show. To our listeners, thank you for tuning in to another episode of HI Talks. Episodes to come, and if you are enjoyed and learned a lot from Kritika, I'll do my best to get her back to another episode if her time and schedule permit. If for whatever reason we can't, please follow her on her channel at Cree Talks. I'm gonna also post it at this in the description and in the comments, and also her LinkedIn. LinkedIn, she's really active and she's done, as we have mentioned, great stuff, great value back to people on LinkedIn with 100 plus followers. So please, check that out as well. Thank you, everyone. Have a good day. Thank you so much, Sayed.